Hello, welcome to 123stitch.com. My name is Wesley. If this is your first time joining us, thank you so much for being here. And if you've seen any of my previous videos, welcome back. Today we have something very exciting in store for you. We are going to be talking about all of the quilting tools and accessories that you can use to take your quilting to the next level. If you like this video, make sure to leave a comment down below and hit that subscribe button if you're interested in learning more about the history of quilting patterns and fun projects you can do in an afternoon. Now, every quilter already has their favorite tools and accessories. Today, we're going to be going beyond the basics and talking about some fun things that can help save you time and effort when working on your next project. All of these tools and accessories will be linked down below in the description box, so make sure to check that out if there's anything that catches your eye or something you might be interested in trying out for your next project. Now, first up, let's talk about rulers. Now, I'm sure as a quilter or some sort of crafter, you might already have some rulers that you like to use. However, there's a whole bunch of different types, shapes, and sizes that you can get. My personal favorite rulers are from OmniGrid, and they are these really fun acrylic plastic rulers. They come with these really bright neon green grid lines, so it's super easy to see on whatever fabric that you're cutting. And like I said, they come in a whole bunch of different shapes and sizes. So this one is a 6.5 square ruler. Then I also have my really long one here. Now these two are the ones that I used in my previous video when I showed you guys how to make that fun bowl-shaped project. And you can get them, like I said, in a whole bunch of different ways. So we have this one here, and this one is the 2.5 by 18 inch, and then there's also the 4 by 18 inch. So definitely check these out if you're in need of a good ruler to use for your quilting projects. Now, there's a ruler for pretty much any type of quilt block that you're going to want to make. And I have a couple different examples here of some fun-shaped rulers that go beyond just the regular square and rectangle. So this one here is a very fun hexagon-shaped ruler. Now, this is going to help you make some very perfect hexagons in 9 different sizes. So we'll do an up-close shot here in a minute, but you'll be able to see that there's little slots in here for different sizes of hexagons. Then we also have the quick curve ruler. Again, we'll do a close-up shot, but this ruler actually has a curved line for your rotary cutter to go through to help you cut out those perfect curves. We also have this little teeny tiny guy, and this is the spare change ruler by Kansas Trouble Quilters, and this is going to help you make their spare change pattern. Again, very specific, but very helpful if that's the kind of project that you want to make. If you want a specific ruler for your next quilt project, I can almost guarantee that it exists. There's rulers for scalloped edges, prairie points, flying geese, rectangles, triangles, any shape you can imagine. There's probably a ruler for it. So it's definitely worth checking out if you want to make sure that you get your shapes perfect. Now, to go along with your rulers, I would definitely recommend 2 products. The first one is these little grip dots by the Gypsy Quilter. These stick right onto your ruler and help keep it from slipping on your fabric. There's nothing worse than when you go to cut a straight line and your ruler slips and you cut unevenly. It's very irritating. The next product is also by the Gypsy Quilter, and my colleague Joanne actually recommended it in a previous video, and it's this little gripper. So this just grips right onto your ruler. Once again, it keeps your ruler from slipping whenever you're trying to cut your fabric, and I definitely think that it's worth getting if you're going to be cutting a lot of different shapes and sizes and you worry about your ruler slipping. So to use this little guy, it's pretty easy here. So as you can see, it's got a little bit of a suction cup down here on the bottom. So if you have one of the handles folded down, you're just going to stick it on your ruler, fold that handle up, and it's suctioned to the ruler now. So now the ruler won't wiggle around when you're trying to cut your fabric. Now, the last product that I want to mention in the ruler category is the 4-in-1 seam guide tool by It's Sew Emma. Now, this is a very handy tool to keep in your sewing room. It does have 4 different functions. So obviously, it can function as a ruler as well as a seam guide for when you're sewing. It also includes a handy 45-degree angle for when you're making half square triangles, and it can be used to measure 1/4 inch for binding. So it's just very helpful all around, and it's pretty small and portable, so it's easy to carry with you instead of taking some other bigger rulers. So this is also a great product to have on hand in your sewing collection. Now let's talk about ways to help keep your fabric and sewing machine supplies organized. If you're anything like me, then your craft space can be a little bit of a mess. It's easy to let things just kind of lay all over the place and not keep it in neat, tidy piles, so I'm always looking for helpful ways to keep my stuff organized. Now, something I find very helpful is these little Alphabitties squares by It's So Emma. You know that moment when you have all of your fabric pieces cut and they're laid out on your dining table or wherever, and it looks beautiful. You have your quilt top pattern, it's all laid out and organized, but now you have to pick it up and move it somewhere else, and you realize that it might all get jumbled up again. That's where these come in handy. So they're just little alphanumeric plastic tags, and you just can help use them to keep your rows and columns of your quilt pattern organized, and I just find that to be very, very helpful. Now, the best way to keep your quilting supplies organized is definitely using some sort of bin or basket system to keep them in one space. But why just go out and buy a bin and basket from Target or IKEA when you can just make one yourself? So Auntie 2 Patterns has these really great bin and basket patterns that you can make yourself. And you can also even get some pre-cut fusibles to create these patterns, so you don't have to go out and buy and cut a bunch of fusibles yourself. If you already have the fabric or pattern in mind, you can get a pre-cut fusible like this to help make the project even easier. But that way you have something cute and unique to organize your space, and it's something you helped make yourself. Now, the last 2 things that I want to mention, one of them's a little obvious, the other one I think is a little more unique. So the first obvious one is going to be a pincushion. If you are any sort of sewer or quilter, you probably already have one of these, but you can never have too many. I really think this one's pretty cute. It's covered in a button design. It's got this little ruler top, and I think it's adorable. So there's that one to keep all my pins organized. And then there's this one. Again, this product is by It's So Emma. She just makes a lot of really cute things. It's called the Stash and Store, and you can get this in a couple different sizes, but it's just a very handy little rubber-topped organizer. So as you can see, I keep all of my little bits and bobs here so I don't lose them in the crafting process. I have my little scissors, my little seam ripper, as well as my pens that I use pretty frequently, and this just keeps them standing up and out of the way for me. Lastly, I have a few items to talk about that don't really belong in any specific category, but I do think they're worth mentioning. First up is these adorable little sew-in labels. Now, if you've ever finished a quilting or sewing project and you want some way to mark that this is yours, that you've made it, maybe you're giving it as a gift to someone, these little high-quality woven labels are a great way to do that. They come in a whole variety of different patterns and designs. These ones are by Sarah Hartz, but you can of course get a whole bunch of different ones. So I just think these are really cute and they're a great way to finish off your project. Then we have the Quick Press Seam Roller by Bee in My Bonnet. There's a whole bunch of different seam rollers out there on the market that you can get. I like that this one is wood and it's got a very nice roll to it. So for my handy little seam roller here, I have my fun little 9-patch variation block that I made, and it's really easy to use. You know, you just press your seams down with it, and it's a lot easier than trying to iron them. Now, the last thing I want to mention, I personally couldn't have started quilting without it, and that is this Quilter's Reference Guide. I know in today, the modern era of technology, it's very easy to Google your questions. But personally, I do enjoy having something paper on hand that I can quickly reference, especially when it comes to doing quilting math. If you are anything like me at all, the math part of quilting is the hardest part, figuring out how many blocks do you need to make different sizes. I'm not at a level yet where I have any of that memorized, so I found this book to be a very helpful reference. We'll do a quick up-close shot as well so I can show you what some of the pages look like and the material that's contained in this very handy book. So this is my all-in-one Quilter's Reference Toolbook made by a couple different master quilters. And it's got a whole bunch of really good information in it, including quilt sizes and different blocks that you can make. So just turning to a random page, you can see here we have some information about different yardage, some handy little charts. Then in the back here, this has been the most helpful. It gives you little instructions on how to make different quilt blocks. Thank you so much for watching. If you've made it to this point in the video, I really appreciate you sticking around. I hope this was helpful and you maybe found some tools and accessories that you might be interested in using in your next project. Bye!